Welcome to the Wrong Advice Podcast. I'm your host, John Picciuto, and I am pleased to have along with me today my dear friend, Ashley Gatton. Ashley, how are you?
Good. How are you, John?
Oh, I'm doing so good. I know we've been talking about this for a while. This is something that I've been really looking forward to. Obviously, I was trying to remember how long we've known each other. Do you remember? It's like 4 or 5 years. I mean, how long have you been back in LA?
I was honestly, I was trying to think of that because I was wondering, I was like, have we just been friends since Trump was president, or were we friends like
When the world was normal?
while, yeah, And I was like, I feel like I'm trying to think. I moved to New York 2012, and I think we met or we talked,
We tweeted.
what is it? Tweeted, you tweeted. Um, yeah, like 5 years, I think maybe.
It's a good time. I mean, that's a pretty solid
Think.
friendship. 5 years. That's legit.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
And yeah.
It's pretty great. So we met on Twitter, which is hilarious. I don't remember the like initial interaction. You either someone retweeted you or I liked it or something. It was hilarious. You were funny. We started DMing. I was trying to hit on you, and then we had probably the worst 15-minute date in the history of dates. And then I was like, all right, we're just gonna be friends, right? And you're like, yeah, that'd be great.
But actually, honestly, I've told you this. It was actually nice to like go on a date with someone and like
Zero
be,
pressure.
yeah, and then actually just be friends. Like I don't think I've ever really like I go on dates with guys and if they're shitty, I just like try and ghost them and they still, but I was like, well, no, this guy's cool.
We had such a good banter leading up to, whatever, going on that quote unquote date. But it was like pretty easy to know within that like 5 minute period that this was a friendship, not anything more. But I think I agree. That's pretty awesome.
Yeah.
5 years. Happy anniversary.
Besties for five
I know.
years.
It's great. How long have you been back in LA now?
Let's see, I moved back here in June of 2018,
Nice.
so almost 3 years.
Yeah, it's crazy. Time certainly flies. How's the last year been for you? Obviously, COVID's been a nightmare. I think you got your shot this morning.
Nightmare.
Congratulations.
I did.
That's
Thank
awesome.
you. You got yours, right?
Yeah, Monday. So 2 weeks I get
Yeah.
my second one. So I'm pretty excited. Being single in a pandemic, unlike you, has not been that great.
No, I know. I feel like all my single friends are, I mean, I feel like half of them haven't had sex in like a year. And I'm like, also, I don't even know how someone could even meet someone. I mean, are you, well, I know you were on dating apps throughout the pandemic, but I'm like,
I've been on and off. It
yeah,
comes and goes. I'm back on now because it's feeling, the weather's getting better. So,
yeah,
outdoor dining is going to be a thing again, and
yeah,
occupancy is coming up. So it feels like we can start getting back to normal. But I mean, initially, I had just become single when the pandemic hit, so I was on the apps. Then
yeah.
after doing some of those like FaceTime dates and really, really awkward shit, I deleted them. And yeah, I'm not going to confirm or deny how long it's been since I've had sex, but it's definitely not been the best year of my life for sure.
I know. I remember seeing on TikTok and stuff that people like were doing virtual first dates, and
It's
I
horrible.
mean, it's so weird.
Yeah. I don't like online dating in general. I don't think you can really
Right.
get to know someone over an app. It's like super superficial. Like you're really
Yeah.
matching because that you think they're good looking, and then it's like the same conversation. What's your favorite movie? What's your favorite food? What's your favorite thing? Let's go get a drink, and then it's like
Yeah.
chemistry, right? So I don't know.
Hmm.
Being that I've been single for a year,
Exactly.
I've had a lot of time to think about this. So yeah, it's been interesting. How long have you and your boyfriend been together?
It'll be 2 years in July.
Oh, awesome.
So, yeah, so I was here for like, is that right? Did I move here in 2018? Actually, well, yes, it was 2018. And I moved here and I moved to West Hollywood and I lived with my sister. Um, and I was like not interested in dating because I feel like I was leaving New York and I was like and I still think it compared to LA, dating in New York is like it's a whole I feel like they both have their pros and their cons. Like in LA, I feel like you meet a lot of like for me like I'm well also for men, but like fake people and actors and actresses, which I always thought I was like, no, that can't be true. And then I remember I got on the dating apps when I moved here and I was like, oh, everyone has like modeling pictures and they all like don't really have a job and they all somehow are rich. But in New York, it's all like finance and Republicans and broy guys and just like guys who don't want to settle down.
Yeah, no, for sure.
Um, it's crazy. But
So you got lucky. How did you guys meet?
so I downloaded Bumble as soon as I moved here, obviously. Um, and I was like, it was crazy. Honestly, just scrolling through Bumble here, the pictures, they're all like face shots, like actual modeling,
Headshots.
acting pictures, headshots, yeah, not even real. And I was like, this is unbelievable. Like they all look gay, like all the guys, like not my type. And I had it, and then I deleted it. And I guess he says we matched on there, and he remembered that my name didn't have an E. And he like searched me on Facebook because you know how it has like your work on there or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And he found my Facebook, sent me a message. I ignored it.
Determination. I like this a lot.
Stalkerish almost, but determination.
No, I like
Um,
whatever.
in
It
the
worked out.
message, it did. It doesn't matter now. In
Yeah,
the
right.
message, she was like, "This might be inappropriate. I found you through Google or whatever." He said, um, "I'd like to take you out," and I ignored it because I don't know. And then he messaged me again on Instagram like 6 months later, and I was like at work, and all my coworkers were like, "Just go out with them, like whatever, try it out." And I did, and I like immediately knew as soon as I saw him, I was like, "Wow, this guy's like," and he was like kind of like from NorCal, which was kind of cool. Um, so yeah, I mean, now we live together and we're happily in love.
That's amazing. So it does
Yeah,
happen for people. That's so good
it
to
does, I
know.
swear.
It's so nice to know. No, because I mean, I feel like for the vast majority of our 5-year friendship, it's been you and I bitching about our dating lives. So
I
obviously
know.
not as of late. But that's so great. I'm so happy. That like gives me just a smidge of hope that like,
Well, like that's when you would tell me like your dating stories or like your experience, I'm like, it's funny seeing it from a guy's perspective because I feel like you say things and I would say like, I'm like, oh yeah, I feel like I've experienced that, but from a guy. And then like, I'm like, why would a girl say that to you or do that to you? And then you probably think the same when I tell you things about guys. And it's like, I mean, there are normal people in the world. It's just hard to find them.
yeah, because it's just bogged down in so many fucking weird, crazy people.
They're so weird. People are so weird.
So how many dates did you go on out in LA before you got with your boyfriend now? I mean, did you go out at all? You said you
I
downloaded the app, so
Yeah, I went on one.
was it terrible?
And like John, okay, first of all, okay, I don't even remember what his pictures look like. I don't even remember what he looked like. I remember my sister was like, "That's not your type, but like go for it." And I was like, "Okay." And we must have had good conversation. And he came, he picked me up, which was not a good idea. I feel like that's not, I mean, why would I let that happen? But he came and picked me up, and we went to like get drinks, and he was like so clean shaven and like manicured and like super tan. And I was like, the whole time I was like, oh my God, I hate this.
Did
Like,
you get
I don't like
Botox,
him at
bro?
all.
Bro, did you have Botox?
I know, right? Like, do you get your eyebrows waxed? Like, I don't even do that. Um, and then he brought me home and it was just miserable. And then I feel like he kept asking to hang out, and I was like, why? Like, we did not have a good time. And then I had to block him on Instagram because I think he was like, because I feel like guys, if you kind of like show them no interest, they start to kind of be like an asshole,
Or
but like
try
in a
harder?
flirty way.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
And he would like respond to my Instagram stories, like kind of being mean, but like kind of wanting to like make me talk to him or something.
Oh, so
But
he was negging you.
yeah, exactly.
Lame.
And I'm
Totally
like,
lame.
no.
Let me tell you about something that I just went through that's thrown me for a bit of a loop. So I matched with this girl. She was
Yeah.
super protective of like Instagram and phone numbers and whole nine yards. She's got like kind of an important job, and like I get that. She wanted to make sure I wasn't a psycho before that happened, and it's fine. So like we took our time getting to know each other. It was super nice. Couple weeks talking, blah blah, through the app. Finally started, hooked up on Instagram or whatever. So she's following me. I'm following her. It's all good. She's laughing at my stories and blah, blah, blah. It's good. We're trying to set up a time to go out. The world's weird, whatever. Randomly, like last week, she just stopped responding to my text messages, but she still looks at all my Instagram stories. She still follows me. I'm like, this is so fucking weird. What are we doing? Why is this happening? Like, if you're not interested, cool, but like, you don't have to ignore like the 3 text messages that I sent you. Just be like, yeah, you seem super nice, but like not interested, whatever.
Yeah.
But it's like people don't do that anymore.
Yeah.
And like, don't get me wrong.
I know.
In my 20s, I was like ghost city, bye, whatever. But like we're the same age. We're in our 30s. Like, be a bit more cool about
Yeah.
it or mature and just be like, you seem like a nice guy, but no. But like also like unfollow me on Instagram. It's super weird. Like, stop liking my stuff
I
but
know.
ignoring my texts. It's like getting rejected in 2021 and beyond is like I now have to get rejected on 7 different social media platforms, text messages, FaceTimes, phone calls. It's like you just can't win. You're denied everywhere.
And don't you think, like, I would think as we get older, it would get a little better. And I feel like it gets worse. Like, and maybe it's because of social media and just how much point of contacts we have. But you would think talking to like a 30-year-old woman, I would at least be like, hey, like you're cool, but like I'm not interested, or the world's weird, I'm not ready.
100%. I mean, I'm like that. Like, even just through the apps or if we exchange numbers, like, listen, if we don't have anything in common and we're just getting to know each other for getting to know each other's sake, I'm going to just be like, listen, I don't see this going anywhere. Like, we matched because we have mutual attraction. Maybe you had a funny quote, but like, there's no point in just like, granted, maybe 6 months ago, there was point in just wasting each other's time because there was nothing to do.
Yeah, exactly.
But like, as things get normal, you would hope that, I don't know. It's just a weird world. I'm very envious that you've found your man's #mans. When you guys get married, am I invited to the wedding?
So we want to elope. We've always thought that.
Okay, so I'll meet you in Vegas. That's cool.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. That's where it will be. Yeah, no, I don't know. I don't know how single people were doing 2020. Like, or also, do you feel like now, I mean, not that COVID's over or the pandemic's over, but like moving forward, has it changed your opinion about like being in like the germ sense of the word? Like now I feel like I could never go to a gym again. I just don't want to go to a gym.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I'm like, ew, it's so gross. I can't believe I did that. And
like, why will I ever go to a movie
like,
again? I'm with you.
Yeah. And then I'm like dating. I was like, I wonder, I don't even know if I could like thinking of meeting a stranger and like hugging and kissing them.
Yeah.
And you don't even know them. I'm like, think of the stuff we did.
Yeah.
And now we like, I don't know.
I joked early on when COVID happened that like as a single guy dating, like I used to really have to worry about getting herpes. Like that was my biggest fear. But like herpes, as terrible as it is, wouldn't necessarily kill me. Pretty sure it wouldn't kill me at all. But like, cool, I go out on a date, I get COVID and fucking die. So yeah, I don't know. Do you have to like date someone for 2 weeks before you kiss them and then hope that they're not like going out and like, yeah, it's terrible.
Yeah, you have to be like, what vaccine did you get? Like, what? It's so insane.
It is insane. I mean, I did a couple over the summer, like socially distanced dates. We went to a park. Went hiking, but like it just, I don't know. I've recently learned, and you're gonna laugh at me for this, but had a lot of time on my hands. I learned that my love languages are quality time and physical touch. Well, pretty much can't do either of those in a pandemic, so it's been doubly bad for me. But then now the dating environment, like you just said, has changed. So it's like having to reevaluate so much. It's just so fucking weird.
I know. I can't. And we've said this a million times when we talk, like every time something crazy happened in the world, like even before COVID, like just Trump doing whatever or any social thing that goes on, we're like, God, the world cannot get any crazier. I can't believe this. And like it just gets crazier and crazier.
I know. I had this conversation with my brother earlier this week. You know, obviously that hate crime shooting in Atlanta, that was
Yeah.
fucking. I don't know why. Number one, the media is not calling it a hate crime, which is insane to me. But number two, like, I'm trying to understand fully whether these instances of like racial, killings and profiling and like all this terrible shit is happening more, or because we have so much more access to technology and
Mm-hmm.
communication that it's just reported more. So it's like
Mm-hmm.
really hard. Like, you're looking at all these things. It's every day now. There's some black guy who gets killed by a cop. There's some Asian person who gets beat up because of the coronavirus. It's something every day. It's like just staggering. And it's like, okay, was this happening all the time and maybe we just didn't have Facebook and Twitter,
Yeah.
or not? And I really don't know. All I know is it just
Yeah.
is demoralizing on a daily basis. There's nothing like positive about humanity other than this amazing vaccine that they cooked up in like a year. Awesome. Good,
Yeah.
go us. But like everything else is a shit show.
Yeah. Exactly. I know. I feel like when all the I know, like the cop stuff and the black people, like all that. I'm like, I know that's been happening for centuries, and now it's just everything's being recorded.
Yeah.
But it's just weird to me that did you watch The Bachelor?
Oh, fuck yeah. Of course.
I know you're obsessed with The Bachelor.
It's
You like
Twitter.
live tweet it.
I have to. That's why I started watching it originally. I have a serious Twitter addiction. When they go to a pay model, I'm going to be like, all right, I can cut myself off. It's like Twitter is my
You
heroin.
really do. I know. Um, like you know how the girl Rachel, like she got in trouble for her pictures or whatever. But like during the summer when all the Black Lives Matter things were happening and like all these like white influencers or white people were like, "Oh, I'm working on like learning or researching or I'm reading these books or watching these movies." And I was telling my boyfriend, I was like, it's hard for me to wrap my head around the fact that people have to learn about racism and have to learn. And then he was like, "No, it's more like them unlearning to not be racist." I'm like,
Yeah.
and and I guess I mean, some people are just, people raised in the South, like that's just their normal. Like they don't even know.
hmm
But I'm like, how do you not know to not be racist or not like a group of people because of what they look like?
Yeah. It is 100% a learned thing, unfortunately. And like,
Totally.
um, yeah, I mean, the South is weird like that. They definitely, it's ingrained in them from a young age. Like, I went to school in West Virginia. There were Confederate flags at every football tailgate. That's like not something you see in
Yeah.
New Jersey. Um,
Yeah.
and you think about it, like what we're like 60 years removed from the civil rights movement. That's like not an entire generation yet. So it's not that much time that we've put behind this shit. But yeah,
Yeah.
it doesn't feel like we've made any real progress. And, now you're just seeing it crop up against multiple ethnicities. I mean, after 9/11, it was Muslims and
Hmm.
Arabs. Now, after the coronavirus, it's Asians. I mean, it's unfortunately always been black people and Hispanic people who've been profiled by this stuff. But it just gets tiring. Like, it's always ever present. And, like,
It is.
I would love to say, like, oh, raise my hand. This is how we fix this. There's no answer. There's just none. Because until people are, like,
Right.
brought up in a world where this is not an issue anymore, it's going to always be an issue. It's like
Right.
it's draining. It's super super draining. It's
Yeah, it's
horrible.
exhausting.
It is
Yeah.
exhausting.
It's like it's not going to end until people stop raising little racist bastards, you know?
Yeah, easier said than done, especially after like the last 4 years.
I know. It's like they got yeah,
You
exactly.
brought up Rachel from the Bachelorette or Bachelor, excuse me. I don't know if did you watch like the last episode or whatever where she like kind of copped everything. I kind of liked what she said. Someone said the Emmanuel Acho asked the question like, do you regret what you did? And she was like, no, like it's hard for me to regret something that I did unknowingly, didn't realize. And I was like, that's a very genuine answer. She's honestly being like, I didn't know this behavior was wrong, and that's not an excuse, But like, at least she wasn't like, yeah, I knew what I was doing was wrong and I did it anyway. Like, I like when people are just super like genuine about their fuck ups. She was like, I didn't know this was a
Yeah.
problem at then. I didn't realize, I didn't think about it. And that is a problem
Yeah.
in and of itself, but also being able to be super, transparent about it was kind of nice. I mean, I don't think her life's over. Like, she's very young. I think she'll bounce back from this. She's got her 500,000 Instagram followers or whatever. She can sell her tummy tea and whatnot. It's just disappointing.
Yeah.
I mean, I read this morning that Matt James deleted all of his Instagram pictures and his tweets and everything. And like, he seems to be going through a really tough time. And I don't think that's fair. He's had a rough go of it. And like, that to me is disappointing.
Yeah.
He seems like such a good guy, someone that you root for and like want to see be happy and successful, and he's clearly going through it right now. It's pretty shitty.
Yeah, like that's what he was saying to her. He was like, because she was like upset, and he's like, I'm sorry you're upset, but I can't take the responsibility for that. But yeah, it's like, I mean, to her defense, she didn't know any better, but that's a problem in itself.
Hmm.
But I mean, I'm not like for cancel culture, but I mean, sometimes it's needed, but like I get the the antebellum thing is terrible and whatever, but I'm like, it's not like they were wearing like KKK hoods
Sure.
and just like running amok everywhere. So it's like it was weird. I feel like this season it was so weird to me. Like Claire's season was weird.
Yeah.
Probably be I mean,
Well, because she fell in love within
yeah.
5 seconds of the fucking. I mean, that was
I
fake.
know,
They
like
definitely were DMing
the,
before the show. I don't care what anybody says. That's a lie. I'm sorry. I mean, I know you've met your boyfriend and you're super in love, but like within like 30 seconds, where you're like, "Yo, I'm marrying this guy." Oh, stop nodding your head.
I no,
Seriously, like fucking 30 seconds, because that's
no,
what it was
no,
like. But they had such.
no, yeah.
I was gonna say
They
Claire and
talked
Dale.
before.
Yeah, they did. Yeah, okay.
Um, but that I don't know. That season was so, that also feels like 5 years ago. I feel like
Yeah, it
time is
does.
so weird.
Time
I
is
mean,
super weird. Speaking of time, where do you
that
see yourself in 5 years? I'm just kidding. Totally kidding.
I feel like that's an interview question that I hate when people ask me when I'm in an interview, and I was like, and I don't know, rich?
Yeah,
No.
hopefully not working for you.
Yeah, right? Like not exactly.
Yeah, I gotta say this has felt like both the longest and shortest year of my life. I mean, I didn't get to celebrate my 35th birthday. That was super lame. Like I'd planned on going to Paris, photographing, just like being there alone, like loving life, and I think I just drank like 2 bottles of wine by myself, and
I know it's sad. Do you have any friends that you see like on Instagram and stuff like traveling and going to Mexico?
so not many friends, but like a good number of people who I follow are in and out
Yeah.
of Miami, in and out of Tulum. I mean, I went on a 4 week road trip across country, but I was by myself. I was wearing masks everywhere. Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
I'm perplexed by that. I mean, to each their own, I guess. If you don't have concerns about being sick or getting other people sick, then yeah, go to Miami, go to Tulum, do whatever you want. It's just not my thing. Like, when I get my vaccine in 2 weeks, sure, I'll gladly get on a plane and go somewhere. But I don't know what
Yeah.
would be the point. It,
Yeah.
plus I've got no
Yeah.
one to go with anywhere, so it's not like
Yeah.
I'm gonna hop on a plane and go to Mexico by myself. So what? Like I lose my
Yeah.
kidneys and my livers and everything, and and then what? Like what's the point? But yeah, I did. How about you? Did you have a lot of people go away?
Yeah, I've only been to like Palm Springs and stuff, which is like a 2 hour drive, but no, I feel like I've been honestly inside my house for a full year. And I feel like I'm getting like now, since I'm not working, I'm feeling like, and I knew this was going to happen when I started to notice, I'm like, oh, maybe we're going to be in quarantine for a lot longer than we think. Like maybe this is longer than a month or 2 weeks or whatever they said. And I was like, maybe I should like find a new hobby or like focus on something or whatever. And I just didn't do any of that. And now I'm like, I wish I started something a year ago because, but you have,
It's never
I
too
don't know,
late.
the less. yeah, I know. And I feel like you're so good at that. Like
Thank you.
maybe you're welcome. You just like feel like you have the like balls and the confidence to just like do whatever you feel like doing. And I'm like, no, I can't do that. I'm too old or I'm not going to be good at it. And you're just like, fuck it. I'm going to
Do it.
buy this podcast system and start a podcast.
Yeah. I mean, at the end of the day, what's a few $100? I mean, I didn't go anywhere this year. I didn't travel
Yeah.
anywhere. I can spend a couple $100 and try to make a podcast. And I'm loving it. I mean, we've only been talking for, 15, 20 minutes. This is so great. It's really nice to have conversations with people, especially, like you. I haven't seen you in a couple, well, when was I in LA last? I guess 2019. So I haven't seen you in person
Yeah.
in 2 years. I haven't seen like my cousin or anybody in a while. So like doing these like podcasts is like a little bit of therapy, a little bit of fun. And yeah, I mean, I don't know. It's the same reason why I started taking pictures. It's the same reason why, 7, 8 years ago I was writing. It's just do it. Like if there's something you want to
Yeah.
do it. What's to hold you back? The only thing holding you back
Yeah.
is you. I mean, plus
Yeah.
you have a really, really good opportunity on your hands right now to make a decision about what you want to do for the next 5 years or longer.
I know.
So I mean,
I
like,
know.
do whatever you want. Start doing something. Say, hey, I want to be a yoga teacher. Start doing yoga. And then you're like,
I
nah,
know.
fuck that. I don't want to do that. I want to make my own Spanx. I don't know. Whatever. You just fucking figure it out and do it. There's nothing holding you back except for yourself.
And I feel like I've been saying this ever since when I moved to New York and I was like so into like, oh, I want to be the director at a huge fashion company. And I was all about work. And in New York, I feel like you're fueled by everyone around you. Everyone wants to do well and be successful. Everyone's grinding and working and, barely sleeping. And when I moved here, everyone's like laid back and like has like no real job or whatever. But I feel like I've been saying for like the past like 5, maybe even longer years, like, oh, I want to try this, but I don't because I'm like, I don't want to start all over and be, the oldest person working this career or whatever. And I'm like, had I just started when I said that, I would, I don't know.
It's such a bad attitude. If you were like 85 years old, I would still tell you to do whatever you want to do. I
I
mean,
know.
at the end of the day, the only time it's too late is like when you're dead. So like,
I know.
I mean, I don't know. Life is short. I think if anything, that's the biggest lesson I've learned in the last year is like it could be gone and over tomorrow or
Yeah.
weeks, and like there's no
Yeah.
guarantees. So just do whatever that thing is that you want to do. There's literally nothing holding you back, unless it's like, listen, I want to be a surgeon. In which case, you have like 8 years and $800,000 in debt to do it. But like, there's
Yeah.
nothing holding you back. Just do it.
Yeah. You're right. I know.
You say yeah, right a lot, but like, I want a list after we're done recording of like 3 things that you want to try, and like you have to fucking try.
I know. I should. I just, the less like, being in quarantine, I feel like the less I was actually doing, like the more time I had, the less I wanted to do anything. But like but in New York, I remember, and it's so weird to think back, like I remember working and going to the gym a lot and like doing extracurricular stuff and being motivated to do more and more and more, even though I had less and less time because I was doing more. And here I have all the time in the world, but I just don't want to do anything because I have so much time.
Is
Like
that
I'm
like
like, oh, I can do it tomorrow.
Yeah. No, that's I'm going to send you an article that I read. I'm going to make up this term because it's not what it said in the article. It's like time paradox. It's like when confronted
Yeah,
with infinite amount of time on your hands, you will constantly tell yourself, "Oh, I'll just do it later." Like, I don't need to do laundry today because I can wear the same sweatpants for 3 days. I'll just do it later. But it's like it was a really interesting article. It was this woman talking about how she's a writer and she put off writing for the entire year. She's like, I put nothing on paper for the entire year because I was just like, oh, well, I've got all the time tomorrow. Oh, I've got all the time on Tuesday. And she just kept doing that. And that there is a paralyzing effect on people when you're like, you have all this time to do whatever you want. It's like, well, I can't waste my time. And then you end up just watching Netflix for 7 hours and do nothing. Yeah, it's
exactly.
super interesting. I've
Exactly.
felt that way a lot at different points over the last year. I mean, I took a job at the beginning of the pandemic, and then I got laid off like 6 months later. And I didn't think that was going to happen. I thought it'd be there for like 5-10 years or whatever. And then it's like, I've got all this time on my hands. I've worked for 15 years to put myself in a position of like doing what I want. What is the thing that I want? So I picked up my camera and I bought a podcast gear and I started writing again. And I think the more that you start throwing darts, you start seeing the things that like you could be really passionate about. I mean,
Yeah.
at the end of the day, like, I feel like we had this conversation about the Peloton. You're like, I don't know if I should get it. Like, blah, blah. And then, like, you got it. You're like, holy shit, I fucking love this thing.
Exactly. Dude, exactly.
Yeah. So just figure out, like I said, we have a report due at the end of this podcast. I need a list of 3 to 5 things. And, yeah, exactly. So you're in love. That's like a very jealous thing for me.
I know.
Because like I've not been in that place in a while. This is completely like not something you need to answer, but do you want to have kids?
So I've never in kids and marriage, I've never really, even like as a little girl, like all my friends imagined their wedding and they've all had these extravagant weddings and now they're all having kids. And I've never felt that urge to have a huge wedding. I think it's always the money, blah, blah, blah. But I've also never really seen myself married, like with one person. I think just because I kept being in relationships and kept getting heartbroken, I'm like, fuck this. There's no way there's one person for me. And the meeting Jake, I feel like it wasn't, I honestly feel like when he walked into the restaurant, I told you, it's like, when blah, blah, blah. Like when I saw him, I was like, oh, well, this guy's like, he's not everything I've ever wanted. I just feel like that is the person that, I don't know. It's just weird. Yeah. And
it was the most reassuring thing for me because, like I said, we have had so many conversations about how shitty it is out here. And you can get me going on how negative I could be around dating. And like we bounce that off of one another. And then like literally within a week, like a day, you're like, I met a guy and I think like he's the one. I was like, what? Shut the fuck up. And like, yeah, I mean, that's awesome. And the reason that I asked about the kids thing, obviously you've got time on your hands now, but like, I don't necessarily look at my life like 5 years out. Like that was obviously a joke, but I like to kind of have some glimmer of an idea of where I'm going to be in 6 months, a year, whatever. So like I as a woman, I was just wondering like what kind of factor that would play on like where you see yourself, in a few years, in a few months.
Right.
So that's
right.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, I know I think about it more than he thinks about it just because I am the woman for all those reasons. But I've never, I mean, like I loved raising my sisters. I feel like I was very maternal raising them since I was a little older than them. And like I did it with my mom and it was like fine. And I never like wanted kids, but the older I get and the more I see all my friends have kids, like now they're having like 3, 4 kids. And with social media, there's some weird thing I feel about, I'm not saying people have kids for social media, but like,
yeah, I would imagine that.
Do you notice? Like I feel.
Have you ever been around a baby?
You
ever change a diaper at like 2 a.m.? No one is doing it for the gram.
But I feel like
No, it's a box ticking thing. Yeah.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
They are like, okay, we got married, now
we bought the house,
kids.
Now we have the kid. Absolutely.
And
yeah.
I don't know.
Do it all for the gram.
Yeah, like, I mean, I don't want to talk shit about people, but no, I've noticed with people that I genuinely know, like in person, how they were. Obviously, people change when they're single, when they're married, and when they have kids. But I feel like once they have kids, something goes on that they just like lose. And I get it. It's a whole new chapter in your life. Like,
yeah, when you stop sleeping for like years at a time, it changes a person.
They're just like,
for sure, they're different. Right?
No, yeah, exactly. No, but also I think I've said this to you, like regardless for social media, I feel like the world is such a shitty place. I'm like, I don't know if I want to bring a kid into this world. Because like I liked how we grew up without social media. Like I think
Yeah.
we had a good
Well, and
child
like
and now when I'm on
without like video games and stuff, it's like go outside, come home at dinner time.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
it's not a thing
And
anymore.
now I'm like on TikTok. Yeah, I'm
Yo, okay.
32 and I'm seeing like
Wait, I'm so glad you brought up TikTok because so I literally just joined like Monday. I downloaded TikTok and you have a TikTok that has been viewed by like 3 million people and that is just fucking insane to me. Like I know
it's
you have
weird.
like a big time like love-hate relationship with social media. Um but that's fucking nuts. That's like so many people.
Okay, it's no, like TikTok is I remember when it first came out and I was like my sister was all about it and I was like, "Oh, I guess it's just like a different version of Vine or whatever," which I never even was on, but like TikTok's different in and it's a very smart app and I think it's killing Instagram is you don't need like to be following people to see content, you know? Like
Yeah.
so like I would post something not and having no followers, not following anyone because it's just like a constant news feed. You don't need friends and it would have like thousands of views and I was like, "Oh my God, like this is just going to everyone's phone."
Yeah.
And then
It's
it's like
it's cool like
it's
that.
so weird. It's cool.
Yeah.
I like it.
I was here are my couple thoughts on it. Number one, like I posted that hilarious Forrest Gump video, got viewed like 1,000
Yeah.
times. I thought that was cool. Whatever. Like I'm getting more impressions on my like I'm posting a lot of my photos and like short videos and whatnot, and I'm getting more eyeballs to them than I do on Instagram. So for that
Yeah.
reason, I like the app. There's so many like disgustingly young girls wearing no clothing, dancing. It's like kind of uncomfortable, and I would like a filter where I can be like under
I
18,
know.
please don't show it on my phone. It's like kind of like I'm 35. I don't need to feel like a creep just holding my fucking phone in my hand on a social media app.
I
And for
know.
that's the only reason why I'm like not sure what I feel about it cuz it's so young. It's so weird. But it's
I
cool.
know.
I don't
And
mind it. But like
it's
that thing
cool.
about it is weird. You brought up your sister. First of all, I think I've never met her, but her gram, etc. She's got such a really cool aesthetic and vibe. I think she's like a really cool person, and really like I love all the stuff that she does with like Black Lives Matter and all the other shit show that is going on in this world. But you guys have a super close relationship. I don't necessarily know that that's super common with families. Like I know me and my siblings are insanely close, and I've got friends who are very close with their siblings, and other people who are like estranged from their brothers and sisters. What do you think it is about your relationship? You mentioned kind of like you took care of her at a young age that makes you guys so close.
I mean, I'm 8 years older than her, which I think growing up, it seemed a lot bigger than it is than it feels now. I think because since I am 8 years older, we never were in high school together. Like I was always on like the next part of my life where she was just like starting it. So, um, when I moved to college, she was like eighth grader. I don't know how old she would be, um, but now when I moved here, she was like just finishing up college and I was, however old I was. But um
29.
one, yeah, one, she's very smart and like mature for her age, I think. Like it's pretty shocking that I'm 8 years older than her because I think seems much older than me in many different ways. But living with her here in LA, like we never really lived together when we were growing up in a weird way, like
Right. Because she was
she
a
was
little
like a
kid. And,
baby.
yeah, right.
Yeah. And then I was in high school and then I was in college and she was finally becoming her own little person. So moving into LA with her and living with her, I feel like we just became friends on top of being sisters. But yeah, like I feel like I mean, I'm super protective over her and I know she is protective over me, but now, especially being in quarantine with her for like half of the year, um, yeah, I don't know, like I see her, she's like my best friend and she says she wouldn't be my friend if we weren't sisters because she thinks I'm like a big dork and I'm like weird. We were driving the other day and I was driving and she's like, if I saw you on the road, I would hate you. Like I would flip you off because you don't know how to drive. Like she does like not get it. But um
That's hysterical.
yeah, no. Well, and she's like Gen Z and like I've never really realized like us millennials are like, losers compared like to them. But Gen Z gives me baby fever. Like I feel like there's like
They need
the
to be like
weird Gen
coddled
Z.
and like
Yeah.
helped
And then
along the
there's the
way.
ones that are like, yeah. And then, they're the ones that are like out in the streets protesting, beating up cops, but like, they don't want to call the doctor to like make an appointment because they're too scared. It's like they're just
Yeah.
a very like interesting group of people. And I feel like it's very admirable. I mean, also since like the pandemic, like since she graduated college, she's been trying to get a job, and then the pandemic happened, and she's like, I couldn't even imagine trying to get into the workforce
Oh yeah. It's like
now.
2008. I mean, like when I
It
graduated
is.
college, it was this bad then. It's history
It's
repeating
like
itself, unfortunately.
it is. It's exactly what it is.
I think
I
it's
know
great though.
that's
I
a
mean,
whole.
it's super nice because I think the one thing, like, well, one of the very important lessons that the pandemic teaches you is time as like a resource and as a commodity. Like we have a finite amount of it, and then like what's super important because like when the world gets locked down. And you can't see your friends, and you can't go to work, and you can't be social. The only thing there
Hmm.
for you is your family, and
Hmm.
I think I've gotten. I mean, I've been lucky enough that me and my siblings are super close to begin with, tight knit Italian family, but we've gotten so close over the last year. It's just been super nice, and it's nice that I see that with you and your sister as well. It's just I don't think it's as common as like you would have expected when we were kids as it is
Right.
now. So it's
Right.
it's it's nice. It's something that I feel like you guys are your own hype people, and like you hype each other up and like you're each other's biggest fans, and it's just super endearing, and I really like that.
Thanks, John. Yeah, no, she's incredible. But you're a twin. Are you older or younger than your brother?
My brother is 2 years younger than me. 3 years? 2 years. I was a senior, he was a sophomore. Yeah. So I was 85,
Yeah,
he's 87. So he's 2 years younger, and he's gonna have his third kid in like
I
a
know.
month. But like to be fair,
I
so
feel
like
like they,
this is like how people differ. Like I'm a Sagittarius, and I didn't start learning much about like astrology until recently. But I am exactly a Sagittarius, like from what I've read. My brother, I don't
my
know.
sister's a Sagittarius.
Oh, nice. Does that mean that we're friends? Like, does that mean like do male and female
Leo's and yeah,
Sagittarius they're friends? I don't know how
yeah.
I don't know how any of that stuff works. But like my brother is January 21st, whatever sign that might be. He's had his entire life planned out for himself since he was like in second or third grade. He's like, I'm going to go to
Yeah.
college. I'm going to get an awesome job. I'm going to get married. I'm going to have kids. That's what I want to do with my life. And he's done it. And like, he's killing life. He couldn't be happier.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
I know. It's
I was going to say,
yeah.
you're like in this flux period of your life. What are you like most proud of for yourself, like today, sitting here talking to me?
So I that's like something my mom always like tries to I feel like I'm not proud of anything and I like shit on myself and I know I shouldn't do that and
Yeah, that's not good.
but I mean, I'm proud of like myself like moving to New York on my own, and I'm proud of like moving to Los Angeles and I'm proud that I don't still live in my hometown. I am proud that I'm not married with kids and like settling, like,
Sure, with the
you
wrong
know,
person.
because yeah, and I feel like I could have done that multiple times and I, probably at the time I was like, oh no, this is who I want to settle down with. And now looking back, I'm like, I cannot believe I ever thought that about that person. And I couldn't even imagine having like any kids or any of that stuff. So like I'm proud of like that. I just feel like I compare success with like a job and
Yeah, you got to break
I
that.
feel like it's how yeah, and I think it's how we were like raised like
I
I
agree with you.
wish like I feel like in high school you're like, okay, where do you want to go to college and like what do you want to study? and you're 17, 18, like you have no fucking idea like what you want to
100%.
do. And also what you choose then is not, that's just crazy to me that that's like how
You- You're
things
you're
work.
you're,
Like,
you're preaching to the choir on that one. On I think episode 4 or 5, I had like an existential conversation with myself, and like one of the things I said is like, so much of our life is like you're in high school, you sit down with the counselor, and they're like, okay, here's the 10 colleges that you can get into. Which one do you want to go to?
hmm
And like then you get to
right,
college, and they're like, these are the 4 degrees that you're able to get. Like pick one of these. And like
right,
maybe when I was 18, someone should have been like, "Yo, here is a camera. Pick this up, see if you enjoy it." Or here's a microphone. Want go have a conversation with some of your friends. And that's ultimately the reason why I'm doing these things now, because I didn't do them 10 and 15 years ago. And so much of what you just said is true, because they put you in a box and they tell you what you can and can't do. And then I think we've reached the point in civilization where that's not necessarily the case anymore. I mean, you've got kids on TikTok who are 17 and 18 years old making millions of dollars. They're fucking dancing.
exactly,
Like,
exactly.
so I think it's like both a positive and a negative. But like, yeah, I mean, that's why I'm doing more of this shit now. Like, you get 24 hours in a day. You don't have to sleep for like 10 of them. I'm not saying
Right.
you, but
And
like
like
people.
and I feel like in high school they, I don't know why trade schools aren't a bigger deal. Like, like to be like an electrician, you make probably twice as much money as someone with a college degree. And
100%.
and that, it's just a weird, yeah. And now looking, I think that's why I don't want to have, I'm not like wanting to have kids that badly, because I couldn't imagine trying to make my kid decide what they want to do with their life. And thinking of how things are evolving so quickly, like
Sure.
imagine in the year, I don't know, I mean, it might be different in college, might not even be a thing in like 20 years, and like it would be a different process, but that's a lot of pressure, like raising a human being and making sure that they make the correct decisions just so they're not a 30-year-old who's like, oh, what am I doing with my life?
No,
Do
that's
like,
such a bad attitude.
I know.
It's such a bad attitude. I've questioned myself so many times over so many years, and I just think of like how many nights and how many days I've like given myself unnecessary anxiety because I didn't know what I was supposed to do or what my calling was. And that's just like every fucking human being in the entire scope of humanity. Like the entire
Yeah,
history of civilization are people who didn't know what they were doing or what they should be doing. I mean, I thought I was going to be dead at 20 like my entire life. Growing up, I would always say,
yeah,
"Oh yeah, I'm totally going to die super young. I don't know why, cancer, get hit by a bus, whatever." And that's like a very common thing. That's just like, morbid, fascination with your own death. It's just like crazy. But like, yeah, you don't have to like put that much pressure on yourself. I mean, you have so much time on your hands right now. Start doing some shit. Figure something out. I mean, you can
yeah,
spend a lot of time bogging yourself down with like, ooh,
yeah, I
32.
know.
I mean, at least you got a boyfriend, right?
Yeah, that's true.
So
I
like,
got that going.
yeah, so like 50% of life is in order. Your personal life locked and stocked. And so what? You just got to figure out what you got to do to make some money. No, that's no pressure.
See, that's how we're the opposite. I feel like you're always like, oh, I want to find someone to travel the world with, and I want to be in love and this and that. And then since you're focusing or thinking about that, you put all your energy towards actually doing things that you enjoy. And that's why I think when you do find your person, you're going to be so at peace with yourself that like you will be able to give her all your energy and time and have a beautiful life
Your lips to
because
God's ear, my friend.
you're
I sure hope so.
you will, I swear. But no, I feel like the grass is always greener. Like you think I have my personal life in order because I have a boyfriend and I'm in love, and I'm like looking at you and I'm admiring you because you're doing all these things that you just enjoy doing, and are doing it. Where I'm like, I don't know.
I think that's why our friendship works, right?
Yeah,
Different.
yeah, we're in different boats, but we're on the
Paddling
same
up the same
ocean.
river. So this is going to be like something that you're not going to want to answer, but I want to hear it anyway. because I feel like at 32, you're like, oh, I don't know what to do. Like, whatever. What's like the biggest piece of advice you would give like 20-year-old Ashley?
Oh, I feel like I try and give my sister advice like in this exact um I feel like I would tell her that don't waste so much energy on trying to find. I feel like when you're in your 20s, you're not necessarily trying to find a husband, but you're like every bar you go to, you're like you you're like I remember being in San Francisco at bars seeing guys and be like, "Oh my God, I think that's like my husband." Like that's he's like, I'm like I'm gonna go talk to him, and then he ends up being a total douche. And I feel like I would tell 20-year-old me, just find out what interests you the most and like what makes you happy, and stop trying to find someone to complete you. Because I feel like in
Ooh,
your
I love
a
that.
girl in her 20s, like girls in their 20s are always trying to find a boyfriend, and I feel like guys in their 20s are always just trying to find a girl to sleep with, and then
Yep.
obviously those two don't mix well, and then that's why I feel like when I found out my boyfriend's age, also when we went on a first date, since we weren't on Bumble, I didn't necessarily know his age. Like obviously it was in a range that I wanted, but I didn't
Just so the listeners
know.
know, Ashley's boyfriend is 64 years old. I mean, you always talk about him like he's old. It's like,
No, he's because, well, no, because I'm saying I feel like, yeah, like me being when I was 30, I was like dating 30-year-old guys, and they are not at my level. Like
well, not all,
your
not all.
maturity is, well, you're 5 years older than me. No, you're 3 years older than me,
Yeah.
but you're still not at my level.
Of what? Lunaticness or what?
No, I'm just kidding. Like, no, dating an older guy, I feel like they are at the same, like they're wanting the same things out of life that you are. But when you're in your 20s, when you're 21 at a bar with a 21-year-old guy, you guys do not want the same
Yeah, he
things.
wants to fuck you and you want to marry him.
Yeah. And then it's just a whole thing like that for 10 years.
Yep.
And then a girl turns 30 and then she meets a guy and then, he's older than her and then it works.
I agree with that. I'm not going to argue with that. I think that there's plenty
Yeah.
of like factualness to that statement. I agree. I mean, and you know, consequently because of that, like I find myself dating people who are younger because most people our age
Hmm.
have already settled down. I mean,
Right.
I'm definitely in the minority of my friend group. I think I am the only single person in my friend group. Everyone else is married.
That's what, and I always ask you that. Like, they don't, I feel like your best shot of meeting someone is like a friend of a friend of a friend, but you
Ashley,
say,
I've been asking you to find me a girl for like
I
17
know,
years.
but I know,
Don't
I
finish the
don't know a
sentence.
lot
I
of
know we
single
don't want to have to
people.
cut that. No, yeah, I mean, you'd think, but like at the end of the day, like my friends' friends are our age. They've
I,
met their person. They're
yeah,
settled. So it's
yeah,
like, yeah, I mean, if any of my siblings like parents get remarried and they've got like that sneaky 26-year-old stepsister, like, yo, what's up? Hey,
yeah.
how are you? What's the thing that you're most afraid of in life? Like, what's your biggest fear?
Um, I mean, like my biggest fear is like deep water, but do you mean like,
That's so funny. Like, can you not swim?
no, I can't swim. I played water polo and swimming in high school, but I just
How did I
like
not
deep
know
water,
that?
like
That's crazy.
I know people think me playing polo is really weird,
That's
but
awesome. I think that's
like
really
I
cool.
did it.
That's sweet.
Thanks. Anyways, but
I meant like
no,
death.
like
Like my biggest fear
actually,
is dying. But like, yeah, I guess deep water too.
mm, it's scary. When you can't see the bottom, you're like, how deep is this? My
Deep
biggest
enough to
fear
keep
is
swimming.
probably, or just like you, have you ever swam in a lake where you can't see the bottom and you're
Yeah.
just like,
Just
it
keep
doesn't freak you
swimming.
out?
Just keep swimming, 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 swimming.
Actually, I learned, do you know that there's this phobia? Like, when they're showing like a video under the water, like in the ocean, and then it's like a camera, and then all of a sudden the Titanic appears, like you see like a shipwreck at the bottom of the ocean, like,
Yeah.
and it's like, that's like an actual phobia. And that I think I have. It's called like where you
Titanic
see
phobia.
like a inanimate, what's the word?
Inanimate.
Inanimate,
Inanimate.
inanimate
Inanimate.
object, inanimate,
Inanimate.
inanimate.
Yeah. At the bottom of an ocean. Okay. That's
Yeah,
interesting.
whatever. That's a phobia.
I was gonna say like my biggest fear is dying, but I think I'm starting to mellow on that a little bit as I get older. Probably I think there's probably something after this. That's why like that notion is relaxing me a little bit. So I'm
Like you're
trying to.
afraid of dying in the way of like being in pain or like your
I'm
life's over.
I'm yeah the end of life versus like
Yeah.
oh my god someone stabbed me that hurts. No,
Yeah.
more like what is beyond because
Yeah.
for a long time I felt that way, and I think recently like as you get older you start like reading more and watching more movies and like touching on the concept of afterlife. And I don't know, I'm a spiritual person, I'm not an overly religious person. I think religion sucks balls, but
Hmm.
I think it's hard to just think like we were some fucking microbes that like came out of a
I
pool,
know.
became monkeys, and now we're like on a fucking FaceTime. Like, give me a break.
I
Like, that's
know.
just not, I mean, come on. Whether God is a he, a she, or an alien or a supreme intelligence, who the fuck knows? But there just can't be like zero reason that we're here. That would be depressing as
Well,
fuck. What would be the point of living? There's nothing
that's
after this?
okay. That's like I saw this thing and it was I don't know what the but it was trying to show like have you seen the videos? It's like here's Earth and then it zooms out and it's like
Yeah.
shows you just how big everything is.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean that stuff is like even just hard to wrap your mind around it. Like I can't even think of space and that type of things. Like it's so crazy. But yeah, I feel like that's how I feel like when I'm like, oh, I want to be a yoga teacher. And I'm like, but why am I even going to bother? Because I'm just going to die in 30 years. And but then I'm like, I feel like in the last year, and I was telling you this earlier, like I'm like, nothing matters, but everything matters. Like,
Yeah. And I love that.
because it's like, yeah, we're going to die in 30 years. So what does it matter this like podcast you're recording? But I'm like, well, it does matter because like that's what like is life.
Yeah.
Like,
Like, I'd rather
I
be
don't,
talking to you for an hour than like watching The Office
yeah,
on Netflix. Like,
yeah. And it's like being in a negative mindset, thinking like it doesn't matter, we're all going to die. But yeah, I definitely think death is scary. I think I fear it more and like I feel bad for people who are here when I die and who have to like miss me and like that breaks my heart thinking
don't
of
you think
like
that's like super assumptive that like people I'm just kidding. People are going to miss you when
oh
you're
my
gone.
God.
I'm just kidding. Yeah, no, I agree. I like, yeah. And I think that like leads into such a larger conversation in general about life. And yeah, I mean, I think about that a lot too. Like, that's, yeah.
Do you believe in like do you think not a parallel universe, but do you think that there's another Earth with humans like us somewhere?
I don't think there are parallel universes, meaning like there's not another John Pachuto having a conversation with like a redheaded Ashley Gatton in universe like
Yeah.
1670, whatever. Yeah, I mean, I think it would be very unlikely that we are the only sentient, intelligent life out there. I mean,
Right.
it seems unlikely.
Right.
I've got some good books that I can recommend that you read that like touch upon it and like discuss about it, and like things like the Fermi paradox and like all these things that like pose questions about like where is the other life out there. I just
Yeah.
think it's so fucking big. I mean, it's not like going to like another continent and not seeing any people. It's like, you know,
Mm-hmm.
space and
Mm-hmm.
time that you can't imagine. So yeah, I definitely think there is other intelligent life out there for sure. Out of curiosity, you and I have been talking for like an hour now, and we've talked about yoga twice. What is like your biggest dream? What is the number one thing you want most out of like a week? Next week, it could be like I want to go eat at this restaurant, or like 27 years from now. Like, what's your biggest dream?
John, I didn't know this was going to be you asking me questions about. and I have to like look inside myself. Now you're making me feel like I need to make an appointment to see a therapist.
I thought I was your
This
therapist.
this could be
All
our
these
therapy.
years, I thought I
This
was.
is I know. Um, 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 um. Honestly, I want to see my mom. Like, I would like, that's why I got this fucking vaccine. That's the only reason, because who knows what it's going to do to our bodies. I'm sure it's going to do nothing, but
It's
honestly, who
nothing.
really
Yeah,
knows? But I know. But no, it makes her feel comfortable if I'm vaccinated.
sure.
So that's why, I mean, she's been home alone for like a year and a half, and I'm sure
That's tough.
she needs to see people and be hugged. Yeah, and also, I don't know if my boyfriend's going to listen to this podcast,
I hope he
but
does.
um,
Come on,
I
Jake.
know he probably will.
I'm gonna be in your
I
wedding, bro.
really
You gotta listen.
You can be our
I
photographer.
was just saying, I'm gonna
Oh, I was
fucking
like,
marry you. I'm gonna be your officiant.
yeah,
Dearly
you have to.
beloved, we have gathered here today. I could do it. I'm literally, after we hang up, I'm getting ordained. I'm doing it.
I feel like I'm surprised you're not. I feel like you're the person to be ordained already.
That's funny. My brother is actually ordained and has performed 2 weddings. Um, yeah, I mean, I've been in so many weddings. I might as well get
Uh,
ordained and start like putting people on. But yeah, no, I'm not. I should be though.
I'm surprised you're not.
Yeah, I might just fuck around and start my own religion. You know, it's a really good way to
I
get
mean,
rich.
did you ever watch that thing on Amazon about it wasn't the Kool-Aid drinker people, it's another one. Oh, the one in Waco, Texas.
Oh fuck yeah, that was a lot. That was like a lot.
Oh, like yeah,
Yeah.
this world,
And like I
religion
feel
and
like I
it,
could do that like way more positivity and a lot less death. So like episode
right?
this is episode like I don't know 7 or 8 or 9. I don't know which when I'm going to post this. But like 2 episodes after that, I'm going to be announcing my new religion. Coming soon,
The
TBD. Ashley, we spent a pretty awesome hour together, and I'm super thankful for your time today. I can't wait to do this again and have a further conversation with you just about life and what your 3 to 5 new hobbies and/or jobs are after this episode. But that's going to be it for today. When I wrap up a podcast, I like to do a recommendation. Could be a movie, TV show, pair of shoes. Just something that I recommend to people that I think that they can get some benefit out of. And so, yeah, what's something that you recommend?
I'm addicted to chapstick, and since being in Los Angeles and being in the sun more than New York, I was like trying to get a new chapstick because the air wasn't as dry. And I found Vaseline. Is it the brand's Vaseline, but it's all over body balm. It's a jelly stick, and using that on your lips is so much better than using regular chapstick.
Interesting. I think I use a Vaseline uh, chapstick, chapstick, or like it's a
That
Vaseline
they have the
brand chapstick.
Yeah,
But I too
yeah.
am
This one is like
I'm super obsessed with chapstick. I mean, I have incredible lips, and like I have been waiting a long time to kiss someone new. So like I've been prepping with like ultimate skincare, lip care
right.
for the day that I can kiss someone and hopefully not die again. Um, my recommendation is I'm gonna recommend my Whoop. I got a Whoop. It's a fitness tracker, sleep tracker. It's pretty cool. It like gives you so much insight into, and also obviously this is not sponsored by Whoop, but like what's up Whoop? Sponsor me.
I've never even heard of that.
Oh, it's great. I'll send you my link. You save like I think 30 or 40 bucks. But it tracks everything that you do. Like so it tracks my sleep, which I find super useful because I sleep terribly. And it gives you metrics by how you should like perform on a daily basis. So let's say you get like a full night's 8 hours of sleep. It's really deep, good sleep. Your body is more primed to have a heavy load of a workout that following day. So it gives you recommended exertion levels on how much you should, work out or strain yourself. That's what it's called, strain, the next day. And I find the insights super useful because if I ever notice that like I'm not sleeping good for multiple nights, but I am still working out, I'll take a day off, and then it's amazing how much my body reacts to the benefit of taking that day off. So I find it super useful. and it's really good.
Nice.
But thanks so much for doing this with me. I'll link up your whatever social medias that you want me to include in the notes below. Definitely throw your TikTok on there for sure. But I'm so glad that we're friends. I'm so glad that we met on Twitter. You're one of the greatest people I know. I love you. Have a great rest of your day. Be well.
Oh, John, I love you too. Thank you. I'm proud of you.
Thank you.